Okay. Hopefully we're back, please.
Please. I mean, it still looks pretty rough frame rate wise.
Yeah. Yeah, the old internet hamsters need to start spinning.
It's okay. It's not like you found out a day or two ago you had to restream as well as commentate.
That's fine.
I mean, honestly, the amount of work you've had to do to prep for this, to be able to restream it, to be able to commentate through it, to be able to prep for the intro and everything, it's pretty incredible. So I hope chat understands how much work you've had to put into this.
Thank you for that. I just want chat to see the end of the race. That's the big thing for me.
That would also be good. That would be good.
Okay. Okay, I'm feeling a little better. We're feeling a little better. We might be back, like good back.
Okay, I think we're live again. Yeah, it looks okay to me.
Okay.
If you're having issues, well, there's no point in me actually saying the words "if you're having issues, refresh" because they're not hearing me. But, you know, what if your friends are having issues? Tell them to refresh. Sure,
Yes,
let's go with that.
Okay. I think we're back. We're live. It seems like frame rate's a little bit better, and we got some music and stuff. We seem to be okay.
Yeah, so Overswarm is progressing nicely through G.I. Joe. Almost fell into the pit there on that boss. So Captain, we were talking about some of the different G.I. Joes you could pick. Captain Gridiron here, his main strength is his punching is just off the charts powerful. And so for a couple bosses here, we're going to be using him, and that was one of the bosses that we want to use him on. On this next level, we are picking Snake Eyes again because we want to be able to jump a little higher to get over some of these gaps. But yeah, most of the time, we're picking some combination of Snake Eyes, Rock and Roll, and Captain Gridiron if we can, because those are the best for jumping, for the weapons, and for punching, as we've stated prior. The good news is bad things happen in threes. So if we just went offline 3 times, then we should be good for a bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's perfect then. We're good.
How about that commentator curse?
Yeah, we're good to. Yeah. Oh man.
Looks
okay.
like Lack just beat the first level of G.I. Joe. Or the first boss, rather. As Overswarm moves on to Star Wars.
Yes.
The final game of the race.
Star Wars is the final game, and a game that definitely was. It's been spooky. It's definitely a very tough one. To start this off, is that Overswarm's going to be going and grabbing a lightsaber, and so one of the biggest like gatekeep part of the game, one of the stages is the asteroid stage. And so you going into it without collecting any items, you're gonna have like no health. You can take 1 asteroid hit. In these caves that Overswarm is driving by are backup like health pickups. So some runners may pick them up, but Overswarm is probably going to only grab 1 in one of the future stages. So he's gonna jump down here, get the lightsaber, and then ideal scenario for him is that he's gonna go into the asteroid stage with only 1 extra health pickup. The lightsaber is essential, as needed if, I mean, you're a Jedi, so. So what happens here is he's going to swap to the lightsaber, as you saw, and that's the last time he's probably going to be doing any swapping. He's just going to use the lightsaber for the rest of the screen. And as you saw, the thing with Star Wars is that taking damage either from projectiles or especially from other enemies by running into them, or if they're running into you, it does a ton of damage. So while you want to be going fast, you also want to be going careful as well. He just basically lost half his health there, and I think just trying to be safe. Yeah, he thought about it. He's like, you know what? Let me grab this health.
We do also have NES cardinality going on to G.I. Joe, so he's just a couple minutes behind Lack there for second.
Yeah, so this is the stage that Overswarm is probably going to grab. There's a shield higher up, but you lose about 20-30 seconds going for it. There's one right here that you lose about, 5 seconds, but it's worth it to not lose in the asteroid stage, because it could be tough. But again, this game is a stage that, there's a lot of lives, but you can, if you die, you start the stage over, and that things can go wrong very quickly.
And I think Overswarm, correct me if I'm wrong, is one of the people that will keep track of roughly how he's doing compared to other people. And so I think with him seeing he's on the last game, he's about a game ahead, I think he will pick up more safeties than maybe even he would have planned on if he thinks it's worth it.
I definitely remember that. I do agree with that. He's definitely someone that will take all the data points as possible for trying to make the next best decision in this race. So this is the asteroid stage, and you're just trying to avoid these asteroids for about 60 seconds. He has the one shield upgrade, which gets him 2 extra hits. So he can take up to, once a third asteroid would hit, that would make him have to restart the stage. So far, clean. He should be able to make it through without much worry. And there it is, he gets through the asteroid stage, and now we have some, a bit tougher, some platforming stages. So as you see, there's like these, you saw them in one of the other stages too, they're kind of these like airways you can jump into and it shoots you up into the sky. One important thing with that is that when there's going to be stages that they use them to not take fall damage. There is a lot of fall damage in this game, but if you get shot out of the little vent and lands, you actually don't take the fall damage from it. And this maze, there's a lot of doors. Luckily, all the runners are going to know kind of which way to go. It ended up being that you just kind of go into the next door you see. But there's a robot at the top of the screen. That is the scariest part of this elevator stage. So he gets nice and careful, gets past the robot, is able to go through. And the next part should be fine. You should be able to just kind of jump through and not have to worry about anything.
Yep, and as people have mentioned, we did add Zarnax to the bottom right because he is the current world record holder of Chicken to the Farm, so we want to make sure to kind of let him be out here after he beats Battletank and gets into that game.
Overswarm was just able to get through. That was just like a quick little boss fight, which is just just knock the I'm blanking on the name, but he was able to use his lightsaber to get through real quick, going back into the elevator stage. And there's gonna be a little trick he's gonna do. He's gonna fall and just hold up, and it's gonna allow you. That's the one time where you don't take fall damage. You go right in the door, and now we're getting to some of the really tough platforming stages. The biggest thing here is you're going to start seeing a lot of spikes. And the runners are going to overswarm, or any of the runners are going to just want to avoid the spikes as much as possible. Don't take damage, don't want to start the platforming stage over. Looks like he's getting through, being safe, jumping over these robots. And now ready for the scariest boss fight of the game. High mechanical play right here. You just hit him with a lightsaber and he does.
I was wondering where you're going with that.
Okay, and now the stage that Overswarm on is definitely the toughest platforming stage. He's trying to gain momentum to be able to jump into these vents. There are a ton of places that take damage from spikes and a lot of really spooky jumps. So we'll see how he goes through here. So far, so good. Taking it nice and slow to get past kind of the spike blocks. He's at the very end, so there's a robot here that can kind of basically one-hit kill the player. We're gonna see if he takes a save. He goes for the jump, gets over him, avoids the bullet, but there's a guy shooting. This could be spicy. Takes that damage. So now he's gotta actually start the whole stage over again. That was the last jump until getting to kind of the dogfighting stages.
That's interesting to me. Like, knowing Overswarm, that's something he usually would have played safer for. I wonder if he's just, if this is one of the games that he hadn't practiced a lot of safeties on, and so that was just what he was comfortable trying.
Yeah, I think he was so, my opinion, obviously don't know, is that he knows that strat so well. And he got through with the jump. It was just the second part where he just didn't build enough speed. And it was just like a slight mistake. And momentum is so important in this game. And that's
Yep.
what it did to
Makes
him.
sense.
Yeah. And he got through the second time though. Black Attack is also on Star Wars, as we can hear. So Overswarm is now on the first of two kind of dogfighting stages where there's a bunch of TIE fighters. I think this has 40 and the next one has 60. And so you actually have to kill all 40 of the TIE fighters. You see the cursor on the screen for Overswarm, but the way the bullets hit and the hit registry is not what you would think. You kind of gotta have the actual bullets going towards the crosshair be what hits the TIE fighters. And it also works better if the crosshairs are moving. So you're gonna see Overswarm kind of sweep as he's shooting towards the TIE fighters. And then the green little boogers you see getting shot at you, I think you can take like 8 hits from the missiles. You can also shoot those down as well. So right now it looks like he has two more shields left, 1 more shield left. So he's probably going to start focusing on the actual missiles more to make sure he doesn't have to redo this. Yep, and he gets through. So just 2 more stages left for Overswarm. We're at 248 right now. It's going to be close. This one now, so there's 60 TIE fighters you have to destroy in the X-Wing. You're gonna see Overswarm use kind of a cheese that is used where he's gonna put the cursor in the top right and kind of sweep back left and right, and that drags the TIE fighters in this phase towards the center of the screen. After some of these are killed, you're going to start seeing them come from the top and the bottom. This is a little bit more of a difficult spot where he's going to have to be dodging shots and trying to drag them up and down the screen. Just trying to drag them down. Sometimes they get away. Now you start seeing them come from left and right, so he's going to do the left-right sweep again to drag them to the middle of the screen. So he still has 4 hits left, 3 hits left. But this is the last, I think this is the last phase. I'm not sure if any of the TIE fighters got away, might have to redo it, but it looks like he's gonna make it through here without much issue. Yeah, there was 1 he had to kill. Okay, and we're moving on to the final stage of Star Wars. We're in the trenches. We're gonna be flying the X-wing.
You know, just for funsies, everyone put in what you think he's going to done at for a final time, even if you don't know how long this last stage is.
Nice one, Yells. Nice one.
Nah, I was gonna ignore that, but I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of glad you mentioned it.
Yeah. Yeah, so as we're going through, we see he's shooting in front of him because TIE fighters could appear in front, shooting behind the missiles because TIE fighters can appear from behind him, dodging all these, shooting the missile. Why is his targeting system off? He shoots it, he goes through the gap, Death Star blows up, and that is a GG for Overswarm. First place in Big 20 number 16. Overswarm is a hero and saved the galaxy, saved the universe.
It looked like it was really close to 250. I'm interested to see what the final race time was. I'm not in the SRL race.
So according to race time, the final time is 2:50:07.
7 seconds off. Still a really good time. I think that's above his average time. He was doing some races against his average time, and I want to say it was 250 something.
Yeah, I don't know if he had a sub 250 during practice at all. So this might have been like an actual full run PB. Yeah, so we see Lack Attack now is on Star Wars. Actually fell, so he's probably going to take some damage to restart the stage. And then, as we mentioned before, too, Zarnax, who is the world record holder for Chicken the Farm, is going through that. Okay, and then what we're also going to be doing is, as runners are starting to finish, we're going to try and catch as many runners as possible when they're getting towards closer to the end of the run. But we're going to stick right now with Lack Attack to see how he finishes off the second half of Star Wars.
Yep, and just be patient with us a little bit because Apollo is also running the restream. So as we're trying to get more and more people into this, get people in for some interviews, etc., it might get a little hectic for a bit.
Okay, gets through, is on the second half of the elevator stage. Again, he's going to be doing that trick where he's not going to take fall damage. And as we see, Ness Cardali is also on Star Wars as well. Again, boss fight for Lack. He's able to get the lightsaber swing on it and get on through.
Yeah, I mean, and it just goes to show that even because you might not have a good early game or you have a game that really just you do really badly on at the beginning, it doesn't mean you're out of this race. Like, it's 20 games. So if you have a really good 19 games, you can have one bad game and still do incredibly well for the race.
no, it was a great show of like not, someone could easily get tilted. Having struggling the way he did.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious to hear if he thinks if like Overswarm of a few years ago before he had done this, if this was his first Big 20, would that have essentially ended his race? Would he have tilted and not been able to come back? Because it seemed like it didn't even phase him at all. He might have been upset, but
yeah.
he did very, very well for all the rest of the games, obviously.
Oh, it looks like there's some questions too. I'm getting in chat about if the warp is taken in Funhouse, if that does occur, because you can't like go backwards, you basically have to restart, either die to get to the beginning of floor 2 or basically restart.
And Zarnax is making Chicken of the Farm look very, very easy. A lot of these levels where there's really tight kind of Metroid jumps and stuff, like, he is just... It's fun to watch.
Okay, Lack is on the, looks like the X-Wing stage. You're going to probably see the same sort of sweeping back and forth in the first and third phases. As Nespernaling now looks like he's probably going to pick up a shield or two to get ready. Oh no, actually he's past the shields. He's in the platformer going towards the elevator maze. It's taken a few hits. It is very difficult in this X-Wing stage to avoid the green missiles. If they're near the center of the screen, you either have to shoot them down or you're gonna get hit. You're not avoiding them.
Do we know what's up with Sidetown, Apollo?
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Okay, it looks like he's back.
Looking good now.
Yeah, so like I said, it's tough with the green missiles. It's tough to avoid. You can take damage really quickly if you're not careful. So he's got to get through this again.
If we have time and the ability, we might end up getting a winners list up, but with us being a little short-handed today, that might be tough to do.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot of like finishers that hit pretty quickly. Once that gets through, we'll probably have a little more time. And yeah, at some point we could probably put up the race time screen as well, so that might be an easy way to do it.
Yeah, we can probably put it over most of the game screen, I guess. I think it looks like we're going to be getting Overswarm in here for a quick winners interview.
Sounds good. bring him in.
Hey, Overswarm, congrats on the win. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, much better than I was feeling after Joust.
Yeah, I mean, I was curious about that. How are you feeling, after Joust? Were you still really tilted, or have you done enough of these that you knew, like, hey, you know what, I can come back, I'm good?
I felt pretty confident overall, but I know that there's a lot of RNG in this Big 20. Like, Gyromite has a little bit, Joust has a lot, Loops has a lot, Archistus Ring has a ton, Dragon Warrior Randomizer has a ton, and I was like, if you want to guarantee a win, you have to be 10 or 11 minutes ahead of everyone else, and that's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, certainly. Want to congratulate Lack on second place at pretty much an exact three-hour time. So congrats, Lack.
GG Lack Attack.
Speaking of Archistas Ring, that was the most unreal thing I've seen. You, Lack, and NES Cardinal, I think it was NES Cardinality, all got just an incredible number of fire rods.
That was a PB for me.
I was going to say, can you talk a little bit about how important that is to get fire rods?
So, the fire rods weren't as important as the stairs, but the main thing about the fire rods is that once you have them, you don't have to worry about a whole bunch of levels in the future. So you don't have to go out of your way to kill things to get items. Because the last 4 levels, you really want fire rods for them. The last 3 or 4. And if you have the fire rods in your inventory already, well, you don't have to worry about it. So you can skip all these extra enemies, and you can skip items on the ground. So you save a second here, 2 seconds there, plus the time save for the fire rod. So it really helps just keep you relaxed.
Yeah, it was really good to see. We were talking about RNG a couple times, and it's always nice to see when people get good RNG. To be frankly clear, I would much rather have everyone get very good RNG and see just how people can perform versus just getting stuck with bad RNG. So that was good to see. But you also, you were talking about the stairs, it looked like most of the stairs you were getting on first, second, or I think the one where there's all the vertical pass, so you got it on your third try. And
I got an okay stair in the first one. I didn't get the fairy stairs, but when I got to the one with the spiders, I was like, I have played Archistus Ring several times this Big 20, and I've never got first stairs here, not once. I'm due. And I was walking towards it, I could feel it. I was like, oh, we're going to get first try stair. We're going to go ahead. And it was nothing. But we got first try stair on 30, which is more important. Yeah. The 1319 I got, which may be a 1318 when SRC timing, is actually the fastest run on the board for Archistus Ring.
Yeah, I have it up right now. It looks like Psytown had a 1325.
Yeah, that is a 6th place on the boards. 6th place run
during the race.
The race, it's 1 second away from 5th place.
That's incredible. GG, man. That was good. That was great. I mean, it was better than good. That was great.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of the list overall?
This is my favorite list so far, mostly because it's got a large variety of games, and I'm particularly good at platformers. I'm not particularly good at puzzle games and things like that. It's not my cup of tea. So you give me something like Adventure Island 3, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I can learn it and I can do it. And when it comes to NES games, most of them are platformers. But this one had all sorts of games that I just didn't really take to at first. I wasn't good at Trog, I wasn't good at Loops, I wasn't good at Joust, I wasn't good at a whole bunch of stuff. And so I had to make up some strategies. I decided very early on to manip Trog. I tried to play it legit, and my times were oscillating between 12 minutes and 19 minutes. I was like, that's unacceptable. So I manipped it once, and it didn't work, and then I manipped it again to make it easier to do.
I like that. I like that. You're just yeah, that's unacceptable. We're gonna do better. But I think that paid off, though, because Trog was the game that you came from behind, took the lead, and then you never looked back.
Yeah, I knew very early on that Trog was probably the most important run in the game. Because Archistus Ring, you might get bad luck, they get good luck. Dragon Warrior, you bad luck, they good luck. but there's enough RNG that it's gonna even out for the most part. Like, I had a good Arkista's Ring, I had a bad Dragon Warrior randomizer, that kind of stuff. But Trog isn't really RNG. Like, if you can manip it, and a single death, you can lose like a minute or more, especially if you take a death in Trog, you don't get a warp, and since you don't get a warp, you're playing stages now that you haven't practiced. So I played Trog, I think, once every 2 days, starting like the second week of practice. And most of it was just offline Trog because it's kind of boring to play online. But I have a whole spreadsheet where I took like screenshots of the levels and I mapped it out. And I'm like looking at it during the race. It was very tense because up until the last week, my success rate was maybe 50%.
Nice. I mean, it obviously paid off today. I do want to say congrats to NES Cardinality for the 3rd place finish. He just finished about a minute ago, so congrats, NESC.
I heard he manipped Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Is that true?
He did get a metal slime right away. So
Wow.
I assume he did, but I mean, that's up to him to talk about.
So I didn't manip Dragon Warrior Randomizer, but I changed my route right at the very end. I learned that metal slimes don't run away ever if you're 5 or below. And there's a 1-tile path underneath the town with the token that has a chance to give you either a golem, druid lord, I think like a magician, and a metal slime. I was like, you can potentially run from a golem, can't run from a dragon. So I'm going to take that, and if I get a level 5 entry into that area, I get a metal slime. That's a free level 7. That'll make the stone man easier. And I never got the metal slime in all of practice, and I got it during the run. I was very excited. I planned it.
Oh, nice. I did see you get that. I also saw you got the blue Drakey really early, and so you had a plan for that too, which was nice to see.
I was super pumped about that. That was what it was the best start I had ever had to a Dragon Warrior Rando. And I was like, wow, we're going to get a great time. Then immediately the Demon Knight killed me. But I didn't even
Yeah, we saw that. But I mean, you were what, level 3 or 4, like immediately. Like you had hurt more, you felt good, and then you got beat down a bit. But I mean, it still seemed like a pretty, I don't know, it seemed like at least average, if not better than that, even with the couple deaths.
It was pretty below average for me, but like I think as far as Dragon Warrior Randomizer goes, it's about what you expect. Like I was aiming for like 6 flat, and we ended up getting 7, but it's okay. I was fine. Just Arkista's Ring and Dragon Warrior Randomizer evened out.
Anything else you want to say to your fans, the chat, anyone else about the race?
Thanks everyone for joining, and I hope people join the People's Choice in the fall. Everyone's going to be voting for games again, and so it's going to be a list of games that just you guys choose. For this one, we had a pretty involved process for picking the games, and it took a while, and there was over 100 games we had to look at to kind of put a varied list together. We'll actually have a survey that we're going to be sending out to people and asking them like what they thought about the format, the type of games, things like that, and also some questions about how you think we should take the People's Choice voting, which will help us make decisions in the future. I hope everybody enjoyed this list because this was my favorite by far to play. I did start getting burned out like a few days before the race, but when I was doing full runs, like it felt like I was just doing a speed run for the most part. I did like that this was ultimately shorter than a lot of the other lists. And I know that I was having some pretty good full runs in practice. But I gotta say, like, I woke up this morning and I turned on Joust and I died like 4 times in a row. And I was like, that's not good. And then I opened Lack's stream and I saw him get like the gold time on the spreadsheet for Warriors Woods. I said, that's not good. And then the race starts and then I die in Joust at like 99,750. I just needed one anything to be done, and I lost over 2 minutes. So I was very worried up until Trog. So GG to all the runners, and next time NES Cardinality, definitely use the time tracker. We want to see your secret Dragon Warrior randomizer times. No, I'm really excited to watch his run.
That was one of the various kind of things everyone was wondering about. Is how is NESC doing? But
it was kind of exciting. Like not knowing what his times were going to be. It's like, is he just going to wreck everybody, or is it? It's like, what is this? It was
Yeah,
kind
but
of exciting.
either way, OS, I mean, great job. I mean, it's another win for you. Like you really crushed the list. Even though you had troubles with Joust, you came back and you destroyed it. So congrats, and I
Thanks.
hope you enjoy the win.
Thank you.
And I think we do also have Lack here. So Lack, congrats on second place. How are you feeling?
Hey, I'm feeling good. A couple rough spots, but overall, hard to be upset with second place behind someone like Overswarm, who's he's really good at a lot of games and plays well on race days.
Yeah, I mean, you seem to play fairly solid throughout the entire race. Like, how are your general thoughts about how you did?
Well, Joust went really well. Like I golded in Joust for my like full runs, and it was only like plus 30 seconds on the like on my PB, which was really cool to see. But then I took like a bad death in Zexus. Like the jump I go for was really tight, and I just was a little short and ended up dying. And then Loops went okay. Like Loops is one of the games that I'm good at, so it's like, oh well, if I could separate a little bit with Loops. I knew like anything I was doing, if I had kind of any big mistakes, and that was probably going to do it because I know at least for first place. Like I knew I could still have a good run. People are asking, "Oh, what do you expect to place? What do do you think you can win?" And I'm like, I mean, I can win, but I doubt I'll win. Everything would have to go really well, and I'd have to kind of play above where I had been playing in the full runs. So Frog, like, man, I was enjoying that game. I don't enjoy that game anymore. It's a rough game. Like I didn't manipulate anything. I was going in like, okay, we're just gonna go for it. Because I knew that if you manipulate it, it's like a little slower than if you don't. And said, well,
It seems tough. Like it really does.
it is tough. It's a lot to look at. There's, random movements. Just because you're punching a trog doesn't mean that it's not gonna hit you. Uh there's a lot of stuff that goes with it. So I took like 5 or 6 deaths in that game, and I had to play several extra levels. But then I got a race PB for Jackie Chan. I was plus 6 seconds, and Alan Sir, I PB'd in Space Skulls. Adventure Island was going extremely well, and then I died to the final boss, and that was like the first real mistake I made there. Everything else went okay. Like Arkista's Ring was my best run I've had. That was my second best run, was in the race. So I had 1435. Like I overheard you guys talking about fire rods. Like I was stocking up fire rods left and right, and I'm like, well,
It was incredible.
it really was. I'm glad that the fire rod RNG kind of favored us today, because that is a rough game if you don't have them.
Yeah, like we were talking about, like I would always prefer everyone to have relatively good RNG and just let everyone have fun and do well instead of just be in pain and try to salvage runs.
Yeah, but anyway, that went really well. Like I was just playing good, and then I got decent stairs. The first stair, I was like, well, every practice run it's been on the left, so let's go to the left, and of course it was on the right. So
Was it you? I think there was one of them where the stairs, there's like 6 stairs up top, and there's the 3 groups of 2 that you had the last group of 3 or a group of 2 that you had to go in.
yeah, it was. Yeah, there's like the first set you go in, and then you can walk through the wall. And the only reason I went down because there was a jar. And I was like, well, I need the jar. I got to get the jar. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to go to that top right one. And sure enough, that's where it was. So.
Yeah.
But I got lucky on the first or the second one. It was like the second stair, and then the third RNG stair, it was the second stair. I actually walked past the right stair on the last one, and I pulled up the map that they made in Discord, and it was like, oh wait, I missed one, and that was the one.
Oh man, I mean that was good of you. That was fortunate.
That was the only notes I had for the entire run, was that last room.
Are there any games on the list that you think you might actually try to get a time on?
Well, I do want to. Well, so anything that wasn't like full game or submittable to Speedrun.com, I'm going to go back and get. Warriors Woods is super fun. Like what an addicting game. I know that the first 20 are much different than the rest of the game, but I am going to put up a 99 level time at some point. Just try to do it. Um, Star Wars is super fun, but I don't know. Like, I really want to play that game, but man, the just like playing the asteroids like at the beginning, and just I don't know. I don't think I could do that at the beginning of a run for a while. Lawnmower, I think I could definitely improve because I like only learned the lawns for this, and I did like get a real PB in this, um, kind of in this practice session. Um, I don't know. Streamers is another one. Like streamers went really well. That's a super fun game. Definitely not playing Trog. Definitely not gonna play Joust anymore. Those are not for me. But
Fair enough. I mean,
there's a lot that I
there's
do wanna
always
play for
going to
once.
be probably almost half the games that you're like, I will never play those again.
Yeah, I want to get like like I was on this pace in Trog for a sub 11, and I